continue to follow breaking news this morning involving two sisters who were brutally raped while in foster care here in Washington.
The state has agreed to pay $8.5 million to settle a lawsuit claiming that they failed to protect them from this abuse. In fact, the girls' attorneys say the state could have prevented this altogether. Simone Del Rosario is covering this case for us. You spoke with one of those girls. And she is so brave for telling her story.
She is so brave, and she wanted to come and speak to us. She has just gone through such unthinkable trauma. She was just 10 years old when all of this was happening. Her sister was 15 years old, but her older sister was suffering from severe developmental delays. Now, we're going to call the younger sister Jordan. She's 15 years old now. She told me she wanted to speak out so that other kids who may be going through the situation don't feel alone. The problem is that Jordan and her sister weren't alone. A year before they were placed in this abusive home, a 4-year-old who was very briefly in that house said that the man in the house exposed himself. Now, there was no CPS investigation after that child made that declaration. They only did a licensing check and interviewed the parents for about 20 to 30 minutes. Now, throughout the morning, we're going to be talking more and more about this case, so stay tuned with us. But right now, we're going to focus on Jordan. Her identity is hidden. We have covered her face. We have masked her voice because, of course, she is a minor and a victim. But take a listen.
It's a little tough because I know what I've been through.
What is it that makes you want to come and tell your story?
Just that the fact that people don't have to be afraid to speak out about what is going on, and if this is happening to someone else, that they don't have to be quiet about it. They don't have to hide what is happening to them, and that it might be a little tough at first, but you can tell.
Did you feel like you couldn't tell for a while, and that's a lesson that you had to learn yourself?
Yes, yeah. I felt like something bad was going to happen if I did tell, but after a while I didn't care what was going to happen. I needed to tell the truth.
You can tell Jordan is just wise beyond her years. She is so mature. She's honestly been through so much. As for how she is now, she's been adopted into a new family. She says she has her own room. She enjoys reading and writing. She seems to be doing well with that setting now. And I will say, for the man who did this to her, John Phillips, he's in prison serving a 75-year sentence for child rape and molestation.
Okay, so as we mentioned, the state's paying $8.5 million to these girls. What are they saying about the settlement?
So in that settlement, the state does not have any admission of guilt. In fact, they spent years fighting this case, saying that they did their due diligence when it came to investigating. Of course, with such a sizable settlement, there's a reason that they settled for $8.5 million. Now, the Department of Children, Youth, and Families tell me they did agree to consider some policy changes as a stipulation to this settlement. They sent me a statement that reads, in part, the agency and its leadership are committed to reviewing the effectiveness of our practices and adopting new ones when needed to protect children. I asked for an on-camera interview. It was not granted. I have a lot more questions for them. But coming up in about an hour, I'll be back. We're going to talk about more on the abuse and that declaration that the 4-year-old made that could have prevented all of this.
I think a lot of us have a lot of questions after hearing that. Simone, thank you.
In other news this